So then, as far as the fret material itself is, the fret material comes in a tube like this. You'll need about 1.5, I believe, 1.5 or so. So it comes in straight like this. It also comes in fresh from the extruder and still has some machine oil on it, right? Which you can't really see too much, but we can use a little bit of an alcohol pad here, and we can clean that off, because now you can see, aha, it was dirty, wasn't it? Right? So we want to clean off that oil off of this thing before we install it, because we don't want any oil on our fretboards, and we don't want any lubricant on the frets that would allow it to come out again. The next thing that we want to do is we want to pre-bend this fret wire to the correct radius. So what's the radius of our fretboard? 12, right? So we want, so that would mean a diameter roughly of 24. But what we want to do is we want to bend this fret wire so it's less than 24. I like to aim for somewhere between 18 and 20 inches on the diameter, right? And so, so that's what I've done, is I preset this little fret wire bender to approximately that radius. This fret wire bender is adjustable with this wing nut and allows us to move this bearing up or down, and that changes the radius of the fret wire. And the reason that we want it to be a little bit tighter, right, is so that when we put it into the fretboard, the crown is going to be sticking up a little bit more, and then when we press it in, it spreads it out there, and it keeps the ends tight in down at the bottom, right? Whereas if the radius is too big, then the fret wire isn't going to want to wrap around as nicely, and so you'll end up with some loose ends there on the end. So we want it to be a little bit tighter than that fretboard. So when you run this material through here on the fret bender, for those of you that are over on that side, you can't see, but on this bearing attached to the handle there's a little groove, and so the bottom of the T end goes into that groove like so, and you'll have to give it a little push to kind of get it started, and we're just forming the radius in that fret wire there, and so nice like that. The next thing is at the very ends of these, because of the distance that the fret wire has to travel before it actually gets to the place where it turns, there's just a little bit of a flat right there and a little bit of a flat right there. So what we're going to want to do is just nip those off at about 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch back, to get rid of, you can't even see it with your naked eye, but as it lays on the fret, we don't want that little flat, because it's going to make that fret wire stick up a little bit. So we're going to be using some fret trimmers, right? These are end nippers here, and you'll notice though that they're flush at the top. This is flush here. There's not a bevel like you see on most end nippers. These are custom for fret wire. They are intended only for fret wire. This fret material is very, very soft. It's a copper alloy, and about 80% copper, about, I don't know, 10-15% nickel, and some other stuff. And the reason that it's flush, you'll see later on when we're trimming the frets close to the fretboard, we need them to be flush. For this operation here, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to take off a little bit here, and take off a little bit here. And these little bits, if you can keep track of the fret material that kind of falls off and gets around. It's nice if they don't land on the floor, if you can get away with it, because then they just embed into your shoe and cause problems on your hardwood floor when you get home, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It can also cause problems if you set your guitar body down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we really want to kind of keep track of these and toss them. You know, all the little bits and pieces of the fret wire. If you can keep that tidy, that'll be really good, because yeah, they'll just embed into anything.
It is stuck in the carpet tabs.
Yeah, yeah.